Thank you, Mr. Wainstein, for being here, for your willingness to serve as the Undersecretary for Intelligence and Analysis at the Department of Homeland Security. I think the Chairman's gone through your extensive public service record. The landscape, we have all the same challenges that we had when you last were in public service, and then we've got a few ones that have emerged that are relatively new in scale and scope, not the least of which, of course, is the threat to the United States from the Chinese Communist Party, and in particular their plan, which is now, I think, abundantly clear to work both through licit and illicit means to dominate the global emerging technologies, to displace the United States and reshape the rules-based international order in ways that benefit them. So I'll be very interested to hear your views on China, and more importantly, on how they would inform your approach to intelligence and analysis, should you be confirmed. I also would hope to hear a little bit about how you'll ensure that DHS intelligence and analysis isn't being used or even reasonably perceived, which is in many ways is important, perceived to be used by either party or whoever's in power for political purposes under the guise, for example, of pursuing domestic violent extremists. It's a very fine line. The worst times in the history of our intelligence agencies have been when they were either used or perceived to be used for purposes of political advantage. And this comes at a time in which there's a broader crisis of confidence in institutions in this country. But again, none, I think, has been more damaged over the last few years, rightly or wrongly in many cases, than the intelligence community. And so I think it's more important than ever that we do everything possible to ensure that there's both the perception and the reality that the IC operates beyond the bounds of partisan politics, so that both policymakers, but ultimately the American public, can have confidence that their assessments are real. And so those are important points I hope you'll touch upon. With that, again, thank you for being here. We look forward to hearing your testimony and your answers to our questions.